Right now on the National Weather Desk, hurricane season. New information about what we can expect as the historical peak is now just weeks away.
18 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes.
And what one coastal community is doing to get ready.
Keeps us a barrier from the ocean.
Monsoon season. Heavy rains cover Utah roads with water and debris.
Bigger rock. It's almost like landscaping rock that is come over the road here.
Heat and your mental health. What this summer's relentless heat could be doing to your mood.
Heat seems to place people under increased stress.
Plus, great video of the day. A perfectly formed dust devil spins in California while a very close encounter with a shark is caught on camera.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Hurricane season usually peaks in early to mid-September, but August is no stranger to major storms. Katrina, Andrew, and Harvey are just 3 examples. On Thursday, Colorado State University issued its final forecast for the upcoming season. Meteorologist Jennifer Collins shows us what they expect.
Colorado State University released their final forecast the rest of hurricane season with no major changes as they continue to call for an above normal season with 18 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 4 major hurricanes. This includes the 5 storms and 1 hurricane we've already had this season. The big question that remains how the record warm water temperatures in the Atlantic will interact with ongoing El Nino conditions. This adds uncertainty to the forecast. Warm water favors hurricane activity, but El Nino, which impacts global weather patterns, this suppresses hurricane activity in the Atlantic by strengthening the subtropical high and increasing upper level winds. This is likely why CSU is not calling for more activity right now. So far this season, we've had 5 named storms and 1 hurricane. The next name of the season is Emily, followed by Franklin.
The most active hurricane season on record happened just 3 years ago. And on this day in 2020, Hurricane Isaias made landfall in North Carolina, 5 miles away from where this meteorologist was living at the time. For context, you were probably working from home as this was during the first months of the pandemic. The storm brought flash flooding and tornadoes to the mid-Atlantic. Hurricane Ian recovery continues, and crews in Myrtle Beach have been hard at work tending to protecting sand dunes. Michael Owen reports their efforts have paid off.
Myrtle Beach crews planted almost 100,000 sea oats and more than 70,000 panic grass plants from Springmaid Pier all the way past 82nd Avenue North. Last year, Ian wiped out mini dunes like this one at 26th Avenue North. Less than a year later, they're back as if they've never left. A visitor from North Carolina says it's shocking there were no dunes here just under a year ago, but he's glad they're here.
It's one of those protections, almost like insurance, that you don't really think about, but it's here for your safety.
Ray Cassidy has been the manager at Magnolia's at 26th for 30 years. The restaurant sits right across the street from the ocean, and after Ian, he was shocked what he saw along the beach.
I was heartbroken because, I know how important the dunes are, because like I say, it keeps us a barrier from the ocean.
Cassidy says it's great to have the dunes back and ready to protect Myrtle Beach because they're essential to keeping business thriving.
Whenever the dunes break, the storm's bad enough and it washes sand up, quite naturally just, does a lot of damage to the buildings, but it also shuts the businesses down. And that makes for a hard year for all the people that work in Myrtle Beach.
But it's not just the people, restaurants, and hotels they protect. It's also the thriving ecosystem and animals that live in the dunes.
There's a certain amount of natural or local habitat that lives in that area that people don't see. You got your hermit crabs and a lot of birds come and go out of there. Actually, I've seen a few foxes.
It's also monsoon season, and it's hitting Utah hard this year. Wednesday was Salt Lake City's rainiest day in 6 years. A second round of heavy rain fell last night, inundating roads with mud and debris. Jim Spiewak was along one of those roads.
They are stopped because there's tons of mud and debris and some of that bigger rock. It's almost like landscaping rock that is come over the road here. So as you can see, there's just backups everywhere. All of this water and mud and debris and rock has come into this parking lot right here, over the roadway right here. I do want to carefully try to get a little bit closer. As you can see, the size of some of these rocks that are over the roadway right here, so cars are having to be extremely careful coming over it.
Nearly 6 inches of rain fell in eastern Tennessee on Thursday. The rain caused a series of flash floods, a mudslide, and downed some trees that blocked some roads. According to officials in the area, there were at least 4 water rescues, but no reports of injury. There was also heavy rain in eastern Missouri on Thursday. Between 2 and 4 inches of rain there caused flooding and downed some trees. There were no reports of major damage or injury. The threat continues as a chance of thunderstorms is forecast for the region today, all the way through Wednesday of next week, with a few severe storms expected on Sunday. And while flooding is never good, Missouri is one place that could really use the rain. Based on the latest map from the U.S. Drought Monitor, many parts of the state are under an extreme drought. Extreme conditions in red on this map extended across the plains. The nation's worst drought conditions are in central Texas near San Antonio, as well as portions of Kansas and Nebraska. But what a difference a year makes. Exactly 1 year ago, most of Colorado, or rather California, Nevada, and Texas were experiencing what is called exceptional drought. Large wildfires are now burning in at least 9 states, and based on historical averages, those fires are burning fewer acres than any time in the past decade. In Montana alone, there are 48 active wildfires. The largest is the Narada fire, which has burned more than 13,000 acres and is 0% contained. The area is now under a pre-evacuation status just in case the fire spreads even more. The York fire burning in the Mojave Desert is now 65% contained, is expected to be fully contained within 10 days. Monsoonal rains are helping firefighters put out the flames. So far, it's consumed about 145 square miles. And the intense heat is continuing in the south while regions of the mid-Atlantic and northeast stay relatively cool with several passing thunderstorms. And this is due to a weather pattern known as the Omega Block. You hear about it a lot in the spring. Meteorologist Jonathan Myers breaks down what it is.
A persistent pattern, and also for some a hot pattern, for others a stormy pattern, but it all comes down to what we call the Omega Block pattern. Why do we call it an Omega Block? Well, number one, we call it Omega because you see here the jet stream, that's all these kind of lines with the arrows in them. Well, as you can kind of trace it along, it forms the Greek letter omega, and the jet stream is your storm track. And when it's in this pattern, we get what we call a blockage or blockiness in the pattern, which means things don't move very fast. So where there's heat, like in the deep south and the Gulf South, that stays. Around the edges, the showers and thunderstorms, disturbances, those stay as well. And I don't think that pattern changes very much over the weekend. Perhaps this big H, that's the heat dome, slides a little bit to the west, but still some extreme heat over the deep south and still some disturbances, Pacific Northwest, all the way into the mid-Atlantic and northeast.
And the ongoing severe heat in the south is continuing to impact coral reefs in Florida. Wildlife officials are saying corals are dying from heat stress, bleaching and melting of their skeletons. While some bleached corals turn white, others turn bright purple, which is believed to be an effort to resist ultraviolet radiation. The water temperatures off the coast of southern Florida up to 93 degrees Fahrenheit, about 5 degrees warmer than the same time last year. Check out this dust devil. A viewer in Fresno, California submitted to us through Chime In. Dust devils are a fairly common wind phenomena, but they typically last only a few minutes before disappearing and usually don't cause any damage. This one is pretty remarkable for how tightly formed it is, maintaining its nearly perfect cylindrical shape for a rather long time. Here's a fun note. Today you can visit a national park for free. The National Park Service is waiving entrance fees for the day to celebrate the Great American Outdoors Act anniversary, legislation that helps fund national park maintenance. Visitors still have to pay camping fees today. There will also be fee-free days on September 23rd and November 11th. Coming up on the National Weather Desk, we head to a West Virginia fish hatchery to get an inside look at rainbow trout spawning. And we'll talk to an expert about how severe heat can impact your mental health.
A cold front's going to pass through the area as we head through the day today. A couple showers and downpours this morning, but then a line of thunderstorms is going to develop. It could spark a few severe thunderstorm warnings as well. Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, even down to southern New England. We are going to run the risk for some of these showers and thunderstorms. Something to keep a very close eye on. But Saturday looks nice. Let's first take a look at the high temperatures for Friday. Temperatures in the 70s to lower 80s.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region, starting off at 9 a.m. with a few showers, especially south and east across the Delmarva, eastern Virginia, southern Maryland, and then working through the midday and the afternoon. Still a few more showers and maybe even a couple of thunderstorms descending south from Pennsylvania toward late day and on into the evening across portions of Maryland to wrap up your Friday. Otherwise, with the extra clouds, unseasonably cool for this time of year, mid-70s to near 80. That's the scene here.
TGF Friday, I'm meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg with a look at your southeast regional forecast. Showers, storms moving through parts of eastern Alabama, through Georgia, and off the North and South Carolina coast during the morning and midday hours. Normal sea breeze, diurnally driven storms will move through much of the central and southern parts of Florida and into North Florida as well as we go through the late afternoon and early evening hours. High temperatures in the upper 80s from Atlanta north and west into the mountains. Mostly 90s for the Gulf Coast and through the Sunshine State.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
An incredible moment between beachgoers and this hammerhead shark just feet from the shoreline in Palm Beach, Florida. The drone photographer estimates the shark was roughly 14 feet long, and the approaching dorsal fin didn't scatter this group of 8. Hammerheads look quite imposing, but humans aren't on their list of prey. Fewer than 20 unprovoked attacks have been documented since the year 1900.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
A biologist in California had his camera rolling when he crossed paths with a great white shark while on the waters north of Los Angeles. Rich Rodriguez explains the shark had other things on its mind when the fishing boat got close.
James Deutsch and 2 of his buddies were heading in after a morning of fishing on the Central Coast. They saw splashing on the water, so they shut off the boat's engine.
We got a little bit closer and then saw the fins and realized it was a shark. And got a little bit closer and got some great views of it.
Deutsch says the 10 to 12 foot great white was feasting on what looked like a baby sea lion.
But you have to get pretty lucky to actually see one, especially to see one while it's feeding, because then you actually get to see it, coming out of the water to take bites. And that was kind of the unique part about it. But
the shark seemed more focused on food than 3 people staring at it. It made one pass under the boat, but Deutsch says it didn't seem to mind having an audience. Deutsch is a biologist who spends a lot of time on the water. This was a first for him.
I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, I've always been fascinated by sharks, so it was amazing for me. It was a really cool experience.
Deutsch says seeing a great white up close blew him away, and he can't stop talking about it.
Fishing can be quite the thrill, including catching a rainbow trout, which are known for leaping out of the water and showing off those beautiful pinks and reds. We head to the White Sulphur Springs National Fish Hatchery with Brandon Stover, who has more about what biologists are doing to make sure you can keep catching these fish.
Rainbow trout have been thrilling anglers for years. They are one of the most popular game fish. But how did these Pacific Stream natives find our eastern waters? Human intervention.
The whole state of New Hampshire gets 100% of their eggs from us. Massachusetts gets 100% of their eggs from us. So we can ship eggs all over the country.
The White Sulphur Springs National Fish Hatchery is one of many to raise these members of the salmon family. The facility has been around since 1900 and has been raising trout for a long time.
3, 4, 5. We spawn a rainbow trout twice a year. We also have a Shasta strain of rainbow trout, which we spawn in February and March. So we spawn twice a year. And we do between 6 and 8 million eggs every year.
Separating the males from the females starts the spawning process.
A big one, all right.
Some of these fish are pretty big.
We are dumping a little bit of anesthesia. It's approved for aquaculture. Just lets us handle the fish a little better without them flopping around. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to hold on to a 3 or 4 pound trout. Keeps them calm, keeps them from flopping around.
After the fish are calm, biologists begin to squeeze their bellies over a bowl.
Yeah, just give a real squeeze, gentle squeeze.
Thousands of eggs can come out of a healthy fish.
So I'm going to grab some males now. We're gonna add some fish, some milk, some sperm to these eggs.
Mixing is the next step.
And we just kind of gently stir the eggs. Most of your eggs are going to be fertilized pretty quickly.
The fertilized eggs are then soaked in iodine to kill off any bacteria. This greatly increases the egg success, something that's harder to come by in nature.
And we'll put them on a jar battery for approximately 18 to 20 days. They'll start to develop, and then a week before they hatch, we'll send them to our partners. We can kind of predict when they're going to hatch and prepare have the food ready, have everything ready to go.
Now, we all know that our mental health can be impacted by winter weather. It's called seasonal affective disorder. But did you know that summer heat can have a similar impact? Emily Gracie sat down with an expert to find out how extreme temperatures can negatively affect your mood and what you can do to prevent it.
There's emerging evidence suggesting that warm weather places us at risk of not just physical harm like heat stroke and heat exhaustion, which we hear a lot about, but also about mental health consequences. And this seems to range from everything from maybe being a little bit slower and less accurate at doing mental calculations to higher risk of injuries, especially for people that spend a lot of time outdoors, and maybe even increased risk of having to go to the emergency room for a mental health condition, or even increased risk of suicide.
Can you pinpoint some of the main reasons why this happens?
Heat seems to place people under increased stress, and that might be in part due to more trouble sleeping well at night. Many of the effects we're seeing are consistent with a broad increased stress response and impaired sleep response.
You know, we kind of generalize heat as temperature. Is there any study that's been done on humidity or heat index and these other weather variables that play into our comfort level beyond just the actual temperature?
There's not one single metric that seems to perform better than others everywhere. So what we'd like to recommend to people is that listen to the National Weather Service, listen to other public health agencies that are alerting you to when the weather is particularly dangerous in your community.
What are some warning signs we should look for with ourselves and others, and knowing when to get help? Anybody
experiencing mental health concerns and symptoms, you need to be self-aware to recognize these symptoms. And if you're feeling like you need help and medical attention, to find where to get that. And it might not be directly going to a medical center. It might be connecting with a neighbor or a family member or other trusted source that can help you through the moment as well.
Well, meteor showers occur several times a year. The most popular one, the Perseids, peak this month in August. A summer camp in Michigan is giving campers a hands-on way to learn about astronomy, along with their other activities at camp. Lynette Grant has more.
Campers can try their hand at stargazing while attending Camp Eberhard. They learn about different constellations, galaxies, and planets, but then get the chance to get away from the books and to view the sky, both day and night, from the lens of a telescope. This week, counselors are teaching kids from across the country about the Perseids meteor shower. That brings nearly 60 meteors an hour across the sky. For the budding astronomer, there is a week-long astronomy camp held in July, where over the course of a week, campers get to stay up late every night and dive into viewing the night sky in ways that may not be possible back home.
They also can learn to use our camp telescopes and learn how to use them and become proficient at finding objects and observing them and focusing on objects and so forth.
Now, before we take a short break, let's soar over some beaches of South Carolina.
Good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We do have some scattered showers and thunderstorms starting to move their way into the plains here. A lot of the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes staying dry for the day today and for the day tomorrow, but those thunderstorms slowly working their way east across the plains for Saturday into your Sunday. So by the time we get to later Sunday, that rain's starting to move its way into the Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley for your Sunday.
Good Friday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at our forecast across the region. Heat continues to be the big headline grabber. Excessive heat warning, heat advisories for much of our region. Big area of high pressure continuing to dominate the forecast for your Friday. So we'll see a few thunderstorms north of the big area of high pressure up towards Amarillo, Texas Panhandle this afternoon. Most of us, though, staying quiet, upper 90s to low 100s. Quiet overnight, lows back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, hi there and happy Friday to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, the heat is back on out of Phoenix and Tucson. We're going to stretch to 113 there today in the Valley of the Sun. Meanwhile, the monsoonal thunderstorms getting going and they're on the move, pushing back toward Jackson Hole, Boise, and Pendleton today. And eventually this weekend, some of those thunderstorms could move over the Cascades into Washington and Oregon, causing some wildfire concerns as well. And that's the scene from here.
Watching the National Weather Desk.
Getting to the ocean can be a learning lesson for life. That's the hope behind a Charleston area learning program for kids who don't typically get to see the ocean. Jason Ty takes us with them.
We just love the beach and we love the ocean and we want to share that with the next generation.
It's a baby pompano.
A fish.
Amazing, amazing.
I named her Lindsay.
We're gonna take care of the beach. Got it?
Like, is this yours? It's
you guys
his, it's
go
hers,
hop
it's
in the
mine, it's
water?
everybody's.
They were surfing for like 10 seconds straight and not falling. I think it means a lot getting the kids active, getting them outside.
Oh, they're loving it. They're loving it. No fear, too.
This one is dead.
Uh-oh, we don't want that to happen. My favorite way to put it is, today's students, tomorrow's advocate. So if we get them to enjoy things and appreciate things out here that's everybody's, they're going to be the next stewards when we're gone to take care of everything.
Thank you for joining us. Monday on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at what causes monsoon rains. I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday. Happy Friday.